Good evening, and welcome to you if you're joining us live for another Women Talking Wellness. This week, we're diving into the somewhat weird and very wonderful world of energy. Now, as always, if you're watching this on the replay, please do type replay into the comments and let us know that you're tuning in. And better yet, what you're getting out of listening to this. Now, if you're watching this live, a wonderful warm welcome to you. Thank you for spending some time with us this evening. Let me tell you what you have ahead of you. My guest tonight is a woman who, well, she knows her way around energy. She's been meditating since the early 80s and she became consciously aware of Reiki in the mid 90s, honing her practice and eventually sharing her knowledge through teaching. She's also experienced some true tragedy in her life, finding the courage to step out of a 20-year marriage with two young children and then dealing with the loss of her son through a car accident when he was just age 17. She's had a little dance with cancer. She's bounced back from a hip hop, and despite all of this, she quite frankly radiates health and vitality. Her credentials speak volumes, but I'm going to let her words do all of the work this evening. So please send some online love for my guest tonight, the wonderful Lorna McLean. Welcome, Lorna.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here, Lorna. Two Lornas.
I'm so happy to have you. So we are talking all things energy tonight, and I think for a lot of people perhaps who are tuning in, they've heard the term Reiki before, perhaps they've heard of energy healing, but I think for a lot of us this is still a pretty weird and woo woo kind of a thing. So can you just start off by hitting, we're just going to jump right in. Can you explain in really simple terms what this energy stuff is?
Well, for me, Reiki is a very simple and gentle hands-on healing therapy. However, it's also a way of life, and everybody's connected to that as far as I'm concerned. I believe that we're born into that energy and that it's all around us, it's in every living thing. So Reiki basically means, universal life force energy. It's a healing energy that's everywhere, and we can tap into that at any time. Most people that are interested in Reiki would come along and maybe receive an attunement to that so that they connect in with that energy in an easier way and they get some understanding of it. But I do believe we're all already attuned to it anyway.
Yeah, Reiki is one of these things that it's for everyone and everyone is capable of it. I often find that when when I first discovered Reiki, it was in the sort of early 90s when I did my first attunement. And yeah, I remember being kind of blown away by how this was something that I always had the capability of, but I just didn't know anything about it. When we talk about energy, and I know I talk a lot about it when I teach a yoga class, we talk about energies being out of balance. We've come into the autumn season where I think, we've just had the perfect moment of balance last week with the autumn equinox. But again, this is one of those really vague terms, this sort of idea, well, my energy's out of balance. What are we talking about when we say that?
I think for me, feeling into Earth, into Mother Earth, being grounded or earthed, most people understand those terms these days. These are not new. None of this is new. It's all ancient stuff. It's all ancient practices that we're becoming more and more clearly aware of nowadays. And it's amazing how many people have some kind of basic understanding of what the energy all around us and within us is.
Mm,
Certainly, the people that I'm in contact with, and there are so many, have this understanding in some kind of manner, that we can make ourselves feel more grounded and earthed through connection to Mother Earth. So you just feel the energy of the earth moving up through the bottoms of your feet when you put your feet on the ground. However, most of us, most of the time, are wearing trainers or shoes or something that actually disconnects us to the earth. So the best thing we can do is get our bare feet onto the ground,
mm,
onto the grass in the garden or the park, and actually just stand there and feel that.
yeah.
because it really will energize us. And, you know, depending on how you're feeling when you get up in the morning, you might feel okay. You know, everything that's going on around about us has an effect on us. Our energy might be a little bit lower some days, or we might feel okay, or we might feel quite high on a natural high. And that's what Reiki gives us. It's like a natural high. So we can tune into that, and we can adjust our energy levels once we realize where we are.
Mm-hmm.
If we're in a lower vibration of energy, or we're not feeling so good, maybe we're feeling upset or angry, or, you know, sad about something. Mm-hmm. And that's okay to feel like that. Of course it is. These are all emotions. It's all human emotions. But once we start to recognize where we are, we can lift ourselves from that in a number of ways.
I'm going to ask you what those ways are in just a moment. When I can only relate this back to my own sort of first experience of Reiki and my beginnings in sort of energy work. You're talking about feeling the energy, and again, I'm coming at this in the beginning this evening at very much this sort of beginner level. Imagine, you know, the people watching us tonight have no clue about any of this. And I can remember one of my own first experiences was in my very, very first Reiki attunement. I did it in a place in Scotland, Innerleithen, and there was only 3 of us. It was a very small group. And as one of the attunements, we actually went out into nature, and everyone in the group, the other 3 people, were all like, oh my God, you can just see the energy. They were touching the trees, and they were so absorbed in it. And I was there going, I don't get it. What are y'all looking at? And it took me a long time before I kind of understood, like, how to indeed, you use the word tune into that. So I always kind of go back to that moment whenever I'm talking about energies, because I think a lot of people probably feel very much like I did in that moment, where there seems to be everyone around you is getting it and you're just not.
Yeah, and I completely understand that. And my first degree experience was very similar to that. I just felt very pulled to go to the Reiki class.
Right.
And there was 8 people in our class, and practically everyone was feeling or seeing something.
Right.
I was feeling and seeing nothing, and felt I had enjoyed the class, but had a sort of thought when I left that, you know, that was really nice, but it didn't work for me.
Right.
I really felt that, and I didn't really do too much with the teachings that I received, because I thought I had missed something.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until almost a year later when I met the woman whose house it all happened in that first degree class. Her name was Moira, and she bumped into me at a crystal stall in a healing event, and she said, Lorna, how are you getting on with your Reiki? And I said, oh, it didn't work for me. That was my words. And she went, oh, Lorna, come and see me. So we had that discussion, and once I did my second degree, I understood it better. But the biggest lesson and the most beautiful gift that I got from that first degree was the understanding after the event that it didn't matter if I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
And I remember to say that in every first degree class, because so many people have the experience of not understanding that we might see things, we might not see things, we might feel things, we might not feel things. And that can be a very gradual build up over time. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been teaching for, I don't know, almost 20 years, maybe, I don't know how long it is now, but it's a long time. And even still, I might not feel or see anything, but it's okay for me to detach from the outcome of what the other person might be feeling or seeing, because really it's got nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. Okay? Yeah. But when it's for my own self, my own personal experience, and I'm giving Reiki to myself, or I'm meditating, or you know, listening to mantras, or whatever it is that I'm doing for my own healing benefit, my own personal practice, then that's when I can just go in and just allow whatever it is to wash over me. And I may feel things and I may not feel things, but the deepest relaxation, you know, it's wonderful.
Yeah. I think we're not terribly good at allowing in our modern world. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. You know, everything's so busy, so hectic, and okay, in these times just now, some of us may have more downtime. However, we may have other concerns, or we may be taking care of someone else in our family, or we may be have worries about how we're going to manage over the next while.
Yeah.
However, these personal practices can really, they can assist us in so many ways to bring us peace and balance and acceptance of where we're at, which is hugely important in these times.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. So Reiki, as we were talking, if you are just joining us, actually, I'm talking to Lorna McLean, an advocate of energy work and in particular the practice of Reiki, a term I think that today many have heard, but perhaps don't entirely understand or find it all a bit too weird and woo-woo to fully connect with. So tonight we hope to answer some questions and open this just incredibly healing practice up to a wider audience with some straight talk and Lorna's down to earth approach, which I'm just loving already. So if you do have a question for Lorna, make sure that you put it in the comments and I will pass it on to her. So any burning questions that you've got, she's gonna be here to answer them tonight. So we talked earlier about energy being unbalanced, and there's things that we can do to restore that balance. Could you give us either some examples or maybe something that we could all try to help to balance our energy?
Certainly. If I think back to, well, when I first became interested, I guess, was when I started doing meditation. That's back when I was in my early 20s, which is a long time ago. But I learned Transcendental Meditation. And I guess that was what helped me to understand that I could go inward. Instead of always looking out for a solution, I could go in and find a much deeper peace within myself, no matter what was going on in my life, in my day, no matter what difficulties there might be. I could go in, and often in that space of in, I could find a solution, if that makes sense. Often an answer would pop up out of the blue and give me some answer. I don't know really how to explain that. It's just something that I've always done. And then, of course, from that, over many years, having an interest in holistic therapies, complementary therapies. But when I look back, way back into my childhood, my dad was always healing something. There was always a creature in a box being healed. There was always something. There was energy work going on round about us. That was just my dad, you know. We didn't really know much about it. But now when I look back, I think, gosh, that's always been there. It's always been there. I was quite a sensitive child and would feel the pain of something, the pain of an animal, would cry a lot because something was hurt, something else was hurt, you know. But when I think about coming to Reiki and the joy that it can bring into your life, it's like it's immense. It can be immense. It helps us to be more loving towards ourselves, which is something that we all need. It helps us to be kinder to ourselves. It helps us to have compassion for ourselves. And Reiki is about ourselves first. So is meditation. These things are about yourself first. And then when you feel well, you feel better, you feel full of love, to overflowing with love, then you can pass that on and you can share it. I don't even know what the question was there, Lorna. All the time. What was the question?
Do you know what? It doesn't matter because your answer was lovely. The question on the table was
but definitely Reiki and meditation and yoga. I've dabbled a lot in yoga. I'm certainly not a yoga great practitioner, but I do it. I've done it over many years. My dad would be doing yoga when we were 3 or 4. Wow. He used to do it out of a book. Right. Just in the living room, and we would stand and be trees with him, you know, my sister. So that's always been there.
Right.
And then more recently, before I got my hip operation, I was doing quite a lot of yoga then with a private instructor, Lisa, who's a dear friend actually. And, you know, just to bring that peace in, because you've got a very meditative practice there with yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong or any of these slow movement practices, which obviously you clearly know a lot about.
I do.
But also things like being in nature,
Yeah.
taking care of what you're eating. Now, I'm a great chocolate person. I love chocolate and I love a cake. However,
That's my girl.
I also know how to eat well as well,
Yeah.
and take care of my water.
Yes.
Bless your water. Take good care of the water that you're drinking.
Just I'm
And
just gonna
and you
show
can,
I'm on I've got my tea and my my
yeah,
water with me tonight.
glad to see that you've got your water, because this is, one of the more important things that we need. It's the most important thing actually for everything in the world on the planet. We need water.
Yeah.
So we need to take good care of that. If you look at Emoto's work, Dr. Emoto, you'll
Yes.
get loads of great information there.
I for anybody who doesn't know about Dr. Emoto, he did some very interesting experiments. You can Google it. There's books. There's all sorts of information out there. But he did some wonderful experiments about that revolved around water. And some of the very simple ones. There was quite an extensive range that he did, but the simplest ones were based around ice crystals, and basically having a control set of ice, having a set that was spoken to with loving kindness. I think, was it classical music, if I remember correctly, was played, and it was just a very beautiful environment. And there was a set of these little ice crystals that were generally abused and exposed to kind of negative a negative environment. And he then looked at the different formations of these ice crystals. And of course, in the control group, there was, it was pretty balanced. There was some pretty ones, there was some not so pretty ones. It was all lovely. The group that was exposed to the sort of love and this beautiful environment, if correct me if I'm wrong, Lorna, the crystals were perfectly formed in every way. And then you had this group that was exposed to the sort of negative environment, and they were all kind of deformed and discolored, and just it affected them on that level. And of course, the understanding of that is then, we're what, 80% water. Imagine what this external environment can do to water. Every time you look in a mirror, or you have that self-talk in your head, imagine what you're doing to your internal structures. It's really fascinating stuff. If you haven't read this work, maybe I think, Lorna, you've got some books on your website, so maybe we can put some links in the comments if anybody's interested. Why don't you stick a little water emoji in the comments, and we can get back to you with some information if you want to find out more about Dr. Emoto's work, because it is super fascinating to check out.
I can certainly send anyone a copy of the books. We've got the children's book for water that I actually produce here in Glasgow.
Oh,
We get them printed here. I did some events with Dr. Emoto here in Glasgow, so I've been blessed indeed to actually meet him. But certainly all that information is there, and it's really simply put to the children, and so we can understand it a lot easier.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's wonderful. We've been talking a lot about self-care over in the Lorna Green Yoga group this week. I've been doing a sort of self-care tip each day, and I think it was yesterday was all about how do you get more water into your day, rather than just doing the sort of yeah, chugging a glass of water like a frat boy on a Jaeger bomb. This is not how you get your water. You've got to do it gradually, throughout the day. And I think that's one of the mistakes that a lot of people make. And for me, the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I fill a pitcher of water, so that I have that on my desk, and then I can just sip away, over the course of the morning, and then go and refill it. If I don't do that, I could go the whole morning and not take a sip of water.
You need to have it with you. I think that's a key for me as well,
Yeah.
because there's days when I can go without enough water.
Yes.
And I know that if I don't have it on my desk and I'm working at my desk, or if I don't have it between clients, if my client's having some water, I'm having water. And I do it that way, but I also use crystal water.
Yeah.
It's enhanced with Reiki, good vibrations, mantras, all sorts of stuff.
Wonderful. How can we as, regular Joes in our houses use Reiki for ourselves?
Well, if you are Reiki attuned, then you'll already know the basics of how to do that. However, if you're not, then just by connecting into really just the divine source energy that's all around us. Some people might call that God. Some people will call it different things. I call it the great mystery because I've got no idea what it is either. But I think that if we can, even just to be in nature and connect in with nature, and you can feel the difference once you stop. We have to stop.
Mm-hmm.
We have to stop. Learning some basic meditation techniques. Mm-hmm. The first thing that you do if you hurt yourself is you would rub your sore part.
Yeah.
Or you would hold it. So that's you healing yourself straight away. That's a healing in itself.
Yeah.
Touch yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We all need human contact, which is limited at the moment, if we choose to let it be limited. But the minute you hurt yourself, or if a wee kid falls down, you would rub their sore knee or you would give them a hug. And that is a healing right there. Mm-hmm. And to hold yourself, to touch yourself, whether you've got Reiki or not, whether you're attuned to it or not, is a healing. Yeah. It's as simple as that. Mm-hmm. However, if you're Reiki attuned, then you'll get more information about that and how simple it is to help ourselves feel more relaxed, more calm. Even if you were going to be on the phone and it might be an irate phone call, you can speak Reiki through your voice. You can enhance everything that you're going to say with Reiki and keep yourself calm in the process. Everything that you do, you can bring Reiki into your life. It's a kind of one style fits all kind of self-medication, if you like, without any pills. If that makes sense. It's great.
Amazing.
So, stuff. But also, if you don't have Reiki, of course, you can tap into things like meditation. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And I spent a lot of money learning Transcendental Meditation. And I have to say it was wonderful. However, you don't have to spend that kind of money. You don't have to spend any money. You can go onto YouTube and learn how to meditate these days. It's everywhere. And from that, of course, there's mindfulness and everything else that you can learn. So there's so much online now, well, more so now than ever, that we can learn. But also think about how music makes you feel. If you're feeling a bit down, you could change the music and that will lift your vibration. Just by changing the tune. It's as simple as that. You will feel better, your vibration will rise just by changing the music. Like Emoto, he played certain kinds of music to some water and, certain kinds of music that was more uplifting to other water. And the visual was there. Yeah. It's abundantly clear that we can do that. It's actually in photograph. Yeah. So these are things that we can do to help ourselves. But with music, then what about mantra? Bringing mantras into your everyday, just playing mantras in the background. That's a healing sound going through your home. It's healing everything in your home, your plants, everything in the walls. If you've had an argument or somebody's been sick or something like that, you can lift the energy with these things. So there's so much that we can do ourselves without having been attuned to Reiki. There's so much that we can do.
I think it's maybe fair to say that we're all far more aware of energy than perhaps we realize. I can think back to some examples of my own when I was sort of starting out on my energetic journey, if you will. And examples of things like getting on a bus and there's an empty seat, but you don't want to sit in that seat. And that seat looks the same as every other seat and there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't have a bit of chewing gum on the bottom of it or anything. Why don't I want to sit on that seat? And, it's little things like that perhaps we don't necessarily associate with energy. We just know that that's just...
Yes.
But we all, I think it's fair to say that we've all had those experiences, but perhaps just didn't understand that that's what we were reacting to.
Yeah. And it could be that you don't know who sat in the seat before you. And maybe their energy is still there a little bit and it just doesn't feel right for you. It could be something as simple as that. Yeah. But we don't realize that until we realize it. Yeah. Once we've heard, maybe when somebody says that, it's like, oh, right, okay, maybe, okay, Yeah. And you start to notice, it's like There's shops that I can't walk into because the energy's not right. Now, there might be the energy of the lighting.
Okay,
It
interesting.
might be the energy of the doorway.
Yeah.
It might be that there's somebody in there that I just don't feel I can go into that. I feel it in my guts, I guess. I just feel it, walking down the street, you might step back from someone, step away from. I mean, it looks like everybody's doing that just now for their reasons.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's like if somebody comes up close to you and you don't know them, you would probably step back.
Mm-hmm.
And if they keep stepping forward, they're in your energy field, they're in your aura.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is there an exercise that we can do to test our energy field and get a tangible sensation of where our energy is in a given moment?
A very, very simple exercise that we use in Reiki classes, and especially with children, is just to feel the energy between your hands. It's the simplest thing, just to, bring your hands apart. Can you see my hands on the screen? I think you can.
A little bit higher, Lorna, if you can. Yeah.
Bring your hands together and then just notice how the energy between your hands might feel. And sometimes it feels like a little magnetic force, or like a marshmallow, like there's a little bounce. Do you feel that, Lorna?
Yeah.
Is watching, if you want to try this, sometimes you can feel it really easily, or your fingers might feel as if they're tingling, or you might get little sensations in your hands, and you can move that around and you can expand it and bring it in, and just notice how you can expand it out even more, this energy ball. Anyone can do this, and with practice you'll feel it more and more. Just feel that energy between your hands, and you can harness that energy, and you can bring that into yourself, bring that into your heart. Just give yourself a little bit of love there. Just little things like that,
I could actually do that all night. Let's not talk about anything else.
Yeah.
Let's just do this. Did you do it? Did you give it a try? Give me a little love heart in the comments if you tried it. Oh, that feels so good. I love it.
Yeah, you might feel.
No, I'm a little bit zingy at the moment. Yeah, I need to stamp my feet, I think. Oh, it's such a powerful tool, and it is all it genuinely just comes down to paying attention, something that I think we are truly lacking in the world right now, because there's just always something to distract. You watch TV, you're on your phone, you're on the computer, you're having a conversation, reading a book. There's just constant overload of information, isn't there? We never just, we said it I think earlier tonight, we never just allow ourselves to be, because for some reason that's bad.
Well, what we need to remember is that we're human beings and not human doings, and to stop and be present in this very moment. This is all we have. Our minds are going back in time to what happened earlier or yesterday, or going forward in time to what we think might happen.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, our life is going on and we're missing it because we're not being present. So once we recognize that, we can pull our attention to now. Just now, that's all. And, whatever happened then and whatever might happen, there it is. But we're right here now, and we're being present in our lives and actually living our life right now. It's something we have to practice. It's a practice, just like yoga. It's a daily practice. Bring yourself back to the present, and then it becomes easier and easier, just like meditation.
I don't know if you know the book, Lorna, and you might not. I came across this I actually earlier this year. The book is called 10% Happier. I don't know if you guys watching have read this at all. And it's by the American broadcaster Dan Harris. And it's about his personal journey to finding Buddhism and meditation, and for that becoming part of his life. And it's a book that I've kind of gone back and revisited recently because there's some real nuggets in there. If you are interested in meditation, if you're interested in understanding everything that Lorna has actually just said about, being in the now, this is a very, very easy read in terms of someone who is very down to earth, very, he asks all the questions that you've probably got in your head. Because, let's be honest, meditation is one of those things that I think it can be quite intimidating from, from the outside. This idea that you have to sit for, hours at a time on your cushion, oming, which of course is a very, very wrong idea of what it is. But the reason I bring up this book is because he was in his journey began because he read Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, I think it was, and that's what kind of started him. And being a broadcaster, I think he was ABC or something. He got to interview Eckhart Tolle, and then he's basically met with everybody from John Kabat-Zinn to, like, you name it, the full gamut of the sort of wellness world. And it's his sort of journey of, like, how can I sit for this length of time? How can I be present? How do I bring this into my daily life? How do I not lose my edge because I'm too zen? Just all the stuff I think that us, normal people, kind of are asking. How do I make this a part of my life? And meditation, you obviously are, a TM practitioner. How did you even get started on that? And did you go through all the stuff that I think the rest of us did? I mean, I can tell my own experiences. I've had some real battles on that meditation mat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's true because it shows you yourself.
Oh, I know. Oh.
It shows you yourself. It takes you into yourself. So for me, yeah, there's been a few, let's say, interesting moments on the meditation cushion. However, definitely as I practiced it over, well, so many years now, and don't get me wrong, on and off, I don't do it every day. There's days when I don't do it, and those are the days that I think, why did I not do that this morning? Yeah. Because the difference that it makes to your day is immense. You know that if you miss your yoga, you miss it. Yep. Don't you? You miss it. So with meditation, it's the same. If you're a regular practitioner of yoga or meditation or Reiki or anything else that's a personal practice, then when you're not doing it, you know that your life would be better if you did it. Yeah. You do know that. And it's not sitting on a mountain for months or years at a time. It can be 1 minute. Yeah. Transcendental meditations, we were taught, I think 20 minutes was the kind of standard. Right. Twice a day. However, if you can't do twice a day 20 minutes, don't not do 5 minutes. Yeah. Because you think it's not worth it, because it is worth it. It's the same with Reiki, it's the same with yoga. That minute or 2 or 5 is better than nothing. Yeah. But if you can do your 20 minutes or your hour or whatever it is that your practice is, then do that. But don't get yourself tied up in knots because you can't do it on that day. Do what you can. Do what you can, because it will make a difference. I've been talking a lot this week. I think I said about self-care, and one of the things that in fact, I might not have posted this one yet, so if anybody's part of the group, this might be tomorrow's one. I'm giving it away. But it's actually about I'd written something about gratitude, which again to me is another, it's a form of meditation, when you can really get into that gratitude mindset. But the article is actually talking about the 5-second gratitude breaks that you can take throughout the day.
And I would love to say that this was my own idea, but this is something I picked up from a book a number of years ago. But it's that time when you've switched on your computer and it's loading, and you've got nothing better to do. Why not have 5 seconds of gratitude? When you go to the bathroom, and for some people, especially, if you're a busy mom or your life is hectic, maybe that couple of seconds when you're in the loo is the only time you actually have to yourself the whole day. Do you know what? 5 seconds of gratitude when you're cleaning your teeth, when you're waiting for the kettle to boil if you're making a cup of coffee. There's so many opportunities throughout the day that we kind of skip over because we're either looking at our phones or just distracting ourselves with other things, where you can just take that breath. And in this particular article, as I say, I was talking about gratitude, but it doesn't have to be gratitude. It could just be breathing, noticing, look out the window, the sun's shining.
Yeah, and gratitude is something that I've cultivated over years, and it really does. If you have an attitude of gratitude, and it's a daily practice for you, and it can be any moment of any day, any time. It can be first thing in the morning when you're waking up and you open your eyes and you're just grateful that you're still here. Mm-hmm. But it can be anything. Attitude of gratitude will bring you an abundance of good things into your life. And I'm not talking about lottery wins. I'm talking about an abundance of good feelings, good opportunities, good friends, good loving, everything.
Yeah.
That's good for you.
You're getting some good loving just now. You've got Liz Livingston's just said hi Lorna and Lorna, and we've got 2 love hearts as well. We've got Rachel, and we've got Amzo has sent us some love too. So we're getting quite a lot of love for this. So clearly our gratitude is working.
I think that gratitude is something that is it can very easily become a daily practice, and it really does help you manifest good things in your life. Mm-hmm. Our family have used it for as long as I can remember. Both my parents my dad's gone now, but my mum is still a very positive person, and we were brought up that way to be grateful.
Yeah.
So it's not like I had to work at it. It's just something that was in us.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that.
Yes.
I do pass it on. These are things that I pass on in Reiki classes because some people don't have any idea about that. Mm-hmm. And how simple it is.
Yeah, I think, especially in the current climate as well, it can be very challenging on a daily basis to find things to be grateful for on the outside. But when you have that practice and when you know how to look, it's a different situation. Lorna, do you mind if we touch on the loss of your son and the trauma of that? Because I think it's really interesting that your meditation, the way that you've been brought up, it feels very much like this is ingrained in you. This has been a part of you from such an early age, and yet you've been through such tragedy in your life. Yeah. Did this get you through? Was this what got you through those times?
Yeah, I'm sure that it did in many levels. When Jonathan died, it was a deep shock, and there was so much deep grief. And the fact that I nearly lost my daughter the same day in the same accident was a miracle that she survived, to be honest. And she was 4 years in recovery, and there's still ongoing things that it was just unbelievable what happened. However, I do believe that my practices and my upbringing and the way that I choose to live my life has made everything much more manageable, and it's allowed me to accept things much easier, knowing that I have no control over anything. A lot of people thought I would lose my faith in Reiki in particular because I'd been doing Reiki for so long, and they thought suddenly Lorna's going to lose it because this has happened and it's such a tragedy. But if anything, it's only made my practice stronger, made my views on Reiki and things like that all the more positive, because I see how it has helped to uplift myself and my family and all those around me. People would come to visit and offer their condolences and feel better when they left because they got something uplifting in the house. And all through that time, there was mantras playing that in the house, and they actually healed our home. It's incredible what happened. And, when I think back to it, I could probably write books about it, but when I think back to it, I'm so grateful for the experiences that I've had, even though they're difficult. They've taught me so much and they've allowed me to help so many people.
Yeah. Do you find that your people who've been through similar kind of tragedy are kind of attracted to you because of
Yeah,
that? Is that the sort of
I do
client, I
believe,
guess, that comes to you?
well, I certainly believe that we attract what we know something about.
Mm, mhm,
And I guess I've always thought that. However, it was never proved to me more clearly than the day that I decided to go back to work after Jonathan died. And the first four clients that I saw had actually all lost a child and they knew nothing about me.
wow.
Wow. Honestly, it was handed to me on a plate. And also with relationships, I've been in and out of many relationships over the years and I've chosen to leave them all. And again, relationship things come to me, a lot of women's things. I get a lot of people with, cancer. And I mean, I know that's a thing that an awful lot of people have, but I've, touched in with cancer a few times in my life and I've had very easy recovery, I have to say. And I do believe that my own attitude to my health and my well-being helps. I'm grateful. I
Yeah.
truly am grateful.
Yeah, yeah, I can completely understand that. We've we've talked a lot about the power of the energy that is all around us and things that we can do ourselves to enhance that, to tap into that. One thing that we haven't really sort of talked about, and I'd love to just touch on that a little bit, is the again the challenge of the disbelievers. In doing a little bit of research when you first agreed to talk to me, it seems like months ago now, and I was doing some research just around what you do, and it took me down the Google rabbit hole, of course, and I was actually really shocked. Now, I don't know why I was shocked because, let's be honest, on the internet, if you want to find reasons for something, you'll find it. If you want to find reasons against something, you'll find it. It's all there. But I was really shocked by the negativity around Reiki. Um, Reiki is harmful. Anybody who practices it is a charlatan. Energy healing is a myth. I mean, oh my gosh, I genuinely didn't realize there was such a strong kind of disbelief of this thing that I think, how can you not believe it? It's basically like the sun rising to
Yeah.
me. um, so I'd love to kind of talk about that a little bit, and the fact that perhaps a lot of people are discouraged from even trying something like Reiki because they do think of people in, flip flops and, wearing malabes. And it does feel weird and out there and unexplained and what have you. How do you approach that? Or does that just never come up for you? Do you just
No,
not get
from time to time. It doesn't come up very often,
right?
but no, everybody's entitled to their own opinion
Yeah.
and everybody can do their own research. For me, I'm not here to convince anybody, that they have to go down the route of Reiki or meditation or anything else for that matter. We have to find our own way in life. But what I would suggest is if you're curious at all, if you looked it up, you must be curious.
Yeah.
If you looked it up and you're curious, then why don't you just try it? It's
Mm-hmm.
as simple as that. But if you don't want to try it, that's okay. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not here for, listen, I've been called everything from a witch to a whore over many years. Let me tell you. I've got two brooms. My daughter bought me out a new one recently. So got a witch's hat the other day, so I'm quite happy. But really, it's fine. I don't mind at all. People can say anything about it. It's up to them to do the research. What I know is for myself, it works. And
Yes.
for the many, many people who I've met over the years that have come through my door, I've been so blessed to meet so many amazing people who are high energy light workers
Yes.
like ourselves who want to just help. And it's not for us to force anything on anyone. However, try it and see.
Yeah.
Try it and see. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to argue with anybody about it. I've got someone very, very close living very close to me who's not very happy about what I do, but that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Rachel's just said she feels very sorry for those individuals because they're missing out on something rather
But
wonderful.
it's maybe not the right time for them to find it, Rachel, you know, but you know,
Indeed.
they'll come to it if they're meant to at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
it's
the world is full of people doing Reiki these days. It's become prolific, absolutely prolific in this country too. There's so many people who at least have heard the word Reiki. Some people phone me and phone to book in for, can I get one of those Reiki massages that I hear about? So then I explain it's not really massage, it's
yeah.
massage with it if you want, but really it's Reiki,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It's lovely to see someone light up when they understand it better, when they've had an experience of it and go, wow, I have to say, Lorna, I love to get a skeptic.
Right.
I love to get a skeptic.
Okay.
I really do. It's wonderful because you see them alter. I mean, they change very, very quickly because they feel relaxed. They feel a healing has happened. They feel just by having a conversation. It happens on the phone.
Yes.
It happens on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very cool. It's very cool. Amzo's just said the hospices are very much for Reiki, and that is wonderful to read, isn't it? I have a few friends that do volunteer work in various hospices around the country, and a lot of them are massage therapists, Reiki practitioners, maybe other reflexologists and so on. And I love the fact that the hospices are so open to that.
They really are, and it's just unfortunate the way things are at the moment that work isn't continuing so much at the moment, and I'm sure it'll come back in. I've done some training in Marie Curie in Glasgow for nurses and doctors and staff there that I offered with my friend Anne Marie, who's speaking to you there. We did some work together there, and you know, to see the people looking at a way that they can help themselves because they're in a different job, but also to help the patients that are there, and also the families. If you can help somebody who is in a terminal situation and you offer them Reiki and you see that they start to perhaps lose their fear of dying, the knock-on effect that has to their family, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Is there a mantra or maybe a ritual that is just a firm part of every day for you that helps you to get out of bed or just live your day the way that you want to? Is there one thing that you just don't miss?
Well, I don't miss gratitude. That's always there. I feel there's a gratitude from the minute I waken up. I'm very aware of that in my life every day. I'm very aware of Reiki and meditation in my life every day. But with particular mantras, the simplest mantra, and you said it yourself earlier, was Om.
Yeah.
And Om is the primordial sound of the universe, they say, and it's like the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And if we practice Om, we practice everything. We can work with Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Any mantra that you can repeat, a repetitive affirmation to yourself, gives you so much. But yeah, I would say gratitude is probably the thing that I smile with the first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Lorna, you have got your 10th Glasgow Reiki Gathering coming up. For anybody who's watching now, or indeed if you are watching on the replay and it's before the 10th of October, right? But it's after the 10th of October. You have missed this one. You need to wait till next year. But can you tell us a little bit about what's going on the 10th of October? It sounds like it's going to be a great day. And by the way, there is a link in the description. So if you do want to sign up for this, but Lorna, tell us about it.
So the Reiki Gathering is something that happened, it started about 12 years ago, and my friend Patricia and I, we started it together. And we just got lots of people that were interested in Reiki or who did Reiki together. And every time we've done these events, there's been such a wonderful energy, a real uplifting energy for everybody that's attended to them. This is going to be the first one that's online, of course, because we just can't do that this year. But we've got about 100 people or more signed up already. It's a free event, so it's not going to cost anybody anything. And all you need to do is get yourself a wee nest and get your wee phone on, and you can stay with us for 4 or 5 hours that day and just listen to some talks and some information that we're offering about healing. And there's a lot of sound healing as well. All the people that are speaking or that are taking part in it are Reiki teachers or they're Reiki practitioners of on some level. So we've got a magnificent gong bath at the end of the day. We have a beautiful friend, Lucinda Drayton, who is going to be singing for us and also offering some of her deep wisdom. And we've got two lovely scientist girls coming on to talk to us about the science behind Reiki, things like that. So there's a lot of interest on the day, and we always offer a donation to charities from the Reiki Gathering. So we've got a donate button on there as well if anybody wants to put a penny in the pot.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lorna. I I don't know about you guys that are watching, but can you believe that it is actually time to wrap this thing up? An hour goes far too quickly, doesn't it? I could listen to Lorna talk for a lot longer, and you will have the opportunity to do just that if you do join her for this year's Reiki Gathering. So, as she said, taking place on Saturday, the 10th of October, it is a virtual event. So, anyone from all over the world can join. The vision behind this event is to allow the natural healing of Reiki to be available to a really broad audience, regardless of your background or any financial constraints. So, it is donation based, and all the proceeds are going to charity. It's truly been a pleasure to spend time with Lorna, and I genuinely, I don't say this lightly, but I could honestly, the two Lornas I think could talk for a lot longer than just an hour. I don't know about you, but I'm actually feeling pretty energized, even just from having that conversation. Just a couple of minutes with that little energy ball earlier, and I just feel so much more in my own body right now. I'm energized, but in a chilled way, and I think I'm going to take a lot of what I've certainly for me, I don't know that I've necessarily learned something new, but I sure as heck have been reminded of a few things that I might just have forgotten in recent months. So I'm going to be taking those lessons to heart again. So next week I am going to be back with another amazing woman talking wellness. I mean, it just keeps getting better, doesn't it? Next week, I'm talking to Claire Snowden Darling. She is the visionary founder of Balanced Wellness, and she's going to be joining me to talk about your healthy hormones. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, oh, hormones, it's all about periods and menopause, it's not. It's about how your hormones affect everything from your weight to your mood to, well, just everything in life, really. So, this is a topic that she is super passionate about, and honestly, you don't want to miss this one. So a massive shout out to those of you who took the time to hang with us live this evening. And if you're watching this on a replay, thank you to you. And remember to leave a comment, say hey, and share your biggest takeaway from my living room to yours. And a massive thank you once again to Lorna for giving up her time and sharing her wonderful stories and her knowledge with us tonight. Take what you've learned and go and just give yourself a little hug. I'll see you all next week.